Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ejaz Naqvi. I'm a practicing pain physician. I practice chronic pain, and I'll start with a verse from the Quran that you are very familiar with. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alal lazina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed for you as it was prescribed for people before you, so that you may learn taqwa, or so you may guard against evil, or so you may be God conscious. So I know you have heard this 1,000 times, and in our pain practice, we have a more holistic approach to pain management. We don't separate the mind and the body, because we know the body affects the mind, and the mind affects the body. But there is a third element to our health, which is the spiritual health. So I call this a health triangle. So we have the physical health, we have the mental health, and we have the spiritual health. A lot of the focus, I would say most of the focus, is on the physical health. Very little focus is paid is on the mental health, and almost no focus is on the spiritual health. And we know that when you're not well physically, it affects your mental health. And if you're not well physically or mentally, it also affects your spirituality. And we have experienced this at Hajj, when a lot of our folks were down with flu. They were just not that spiritual. They just could not be that physically present. Fasting helps us in all three elements of our health: the physical health, the mental health, and the spiritual health. I know the focus of today's program is not on the spiritual health, because we had a lot of other speakers who actually talked about the spiritual benefits. But I will say here that the fasting, the word used is som, or siyam is the plural. And the fasting in English is not the proper translation, even though it's commonly used. Som means abstinence. Abstinence means avoiding. Avoiding what? So it's avoiding all the bad things, the haram things. It's about self-control. It's about avoiding anger, avoiding backbiting, stealing, lying, hurting each other. So the whole month we practice self-restraint or self-control. I'll give an example. When we are doing the wudu and nobody's watching us, we are in the bathroom, we have the water in our mouth, nobody's watching us, and we are very thirsty, but the water doesn't go beyond our epiglottis. Why? Because we are very God conscious. Because we know if nobody's watching, but God is watching. And this is about self-control. I'm thirsty, but I'm not going to let that water go beyond my throat. So that's just the self-control that we learn, and hopefully by practicing it enough times for 30 days, this is part of the behavioral modification a lot of the psychologists talk about. So having said all of these things about the behavioral modification and the spiritual health, let's just talk about the physical health and the mental health, and how fasting helps that. So there have been some research, a lot of research actually. Most of the research has been done on the secular fasting. There has been some research done on the spiritual fasting, especially in some Muslim countries. So what they have shown is, and I'll go over some of the physical benefits, and I still call these mundane effects or benefits of fasting. So first of all, fasting helps with three things. I'll lump this together. It helps with the weight loss, sugar control, and cholesterol. So this research, especially in animal studies as well as in some human studies, have shown that by fasting for 30 days, our cholesterol goes down, especially the bad cholesterol. The weight is reduced by 3 to 7%, and there is a positive effect on the sugar control. However, I'll remind ourselves and everyone out there is that if we overindulge as we do during sahur and iftar, all of these benefits are going to go to waste because we sometimes overindulge or overeat. So just make sure that the fasting is there for a reason. Another benefit of fasting is that it helps normalize insulin sensitivity, or it reduces insulin resistance. So what is insulin resistance? Insulin is produced. That's the hormone that controls our sugar. But especially if people who are overweight, it doesn't work. And insulin resistance leads to obesity, heart disease, and even cancer and other medical conditions. So by fasting, the insulin resistance is reduced, which has positive effect on our health. Fasting also helps our growth hormones, which is again considered part of the stress hormone. Fasting also helps normalize this hormone called ghrelin. What is ghrelin? It's a hormone. Whenever we feel hungry, our stomach produces this hormone called ghrelin. You don't have to remember this name. That's the hormone that makes us or gives us that feeling of hunger. So we feel hungry, then we eat. What happens is when we start to fast, that hormone actually is increased. So we feel really hungry. But as we continue to fast, that hormone is actually thus suppressed. This is why we perhaps you have noticed that after the first few days, which are hard, then you start to feel actually not as hungry. That's because the act of fasting normalizes this hormone called ghrelin. Fasting also helps reduce the inflammation. And as you all know, inflammation is considered pretty negative for our physical and mental health. It leads to arthritis, chronic conditions, asthma, allergies, even promotes cancer and heart disease. So fasting helps reduce the inflammation. Fasting also has been shown, at least in some animal studies, to reduce the chances of cancer because it's anti-inflammatory. It also has some antioxidant properties. So these are some of the benefits on the physical health. There are some benefits on the mental health side. So studies have shown, especially some of the studies done on the spiritual fasting, like the Muslim fasting that we do, that it helps us feel good. It gives us that feeling of euphoria. And it is because fasting triggers that hormone called endorphins. That's the same hormone when you exercise, you feel good because the hormones, group of hormones called endorphins, they kick in. And fasting does the same thing. Fasting also helps reduce anxiety. There have been studies showing people who fast regularly are less prone to develop anxiety. Fasting also helps reduce the depression. People who fast regularly are less likely to be depressed. And if they are depressed, their depression does improve. And especially this has been shown more conclusively or more strongly in the spiritual fasting. So, I mean, these are the mundane effects, but as we all know, this is not why we fast necessarily. The idea behind fasting is to develop and reestablish our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every day we need to check our, just like we check our cell phones for the bar that we have, like how strong the signal is, we need to check, this is our opportunity during the month of Ramadan to see what is our connection level. And hopefully, even if we start with like one bar at the start of Ramadan, and hopefully as we continue to fast, that we will show 4 or 5 bars. And then instead of having a 1G connection, we'll have a 5G connection. So, all of these benefits aside, just Ramadan is also a way to connect with others, the creation of God. So not only we connect with God, but we also connect with his creation. As there's a famous hadith that whoever is kind to Allah's creation, Allah will be kind to him or her. So let's pray together that during this month of Ramadan, Allah will continue to shower with His immense blessings. And may Allah continue to heal us, especially in this pandemic, especially in places like India, where it's rampant right now. Let's pray for the healing, not only of our bodies, but also our minds and our souls. And may our iman is strengthened during this blessed month of Ramadan. And I thank you in the end for watching, and Assalamu alaikum.